Let's find some great historical fiction books to read. Now, the way that I found these books is through comments on this channel. So people that have commented on books that they find to be very good and that they think I would like based on books that I've said that I've liked on this channel, as well as through my own research, a lot of it through AI research. I'm taking a pretty extensive AI course right now. And just because, I'm trying to understand all these various different systems, I'm kind of wondering, what's going to pop out if I ask, ChatGPT, what is a book that is similar to Birdsong, which is a book that I love. So here are books that I have found through suggestions on this channel, through podcasts, through AI that I think I'm gonna like, and if you have similar reading taste to me, hopefully you'll like them as well. Of course, subscribe to this channel and eventually I will let you know if I did or did not like these books. Now, the first two books are books that were suggested by somebody on this channel, and whoever this was, thank you for these suggestions. The first one is Trinity by Leon Uris. So this is a story of Irish rebellion told through the eyes of an idealistic Catholic rebel and the Protestant girl who leaves her side to join him in his fight for the freedom of Ireland. Sounds interesting to me, and let me know in the comments below if it sounds interesting to you. Next up is another Irish historical fiction novel, and that is 1916, A Story of Irish Rebellion by Morgan Llewellyn. So the protagonist of this novel is Ned Halloran. He loses his parents on the Titanic. Apparently he's also on the Titanic but survives. He goes back to Ireland and he becomes swept up in Irish resistance. 1916 happens to be also when World War I is happening. Ireland was heavily involved in World War I. There were a lot of Irish soldiers who fought in World War I. Ireland actually in the beginning was very much behind England in terms of its fight. They viewed Belgium as a small country, like them, like the Irish. They were a small country who was being bullied by a bigger country, so the Irish were very gung-ho about World War I in the beginning. But like many people who fought in that war, they became very disillusioned with it as the years passed, and 1916 is the year of Easter Rising. This sounds super interesting to me. I'm a big fan of World War I. I'm a big fan of Irish history as well, so I will be picking this one up sometime in the future. Next up is A God in Ruins by Kate Atkinson. So this is actually a series. It's part of a series, number 2 in a series, although I don't believe that you really need to read the series in order. This series is about the Todd family. This book focuses on the life of Teddy Todd, and as far as I can tell, he was an RAF pilot in World War II, and this is the story of his life after World War II, the life that he never thought he was going to live. Anyways, looks good to me, and let me know in the comments below what you think of this novel as well. Next up is Crossing to Safety by Wallace Stegner. So this was published in 1987, and I believe it is considered one of the greatest novels of American literature in the 20th century. This is supposed to be a quiet novel. It is a novel about two separate pairs of people, of husbands and wives, and it traces their lives between Vermont and Wisconsin. That's all I really know about it other than that. It is a cherished American novel, and it is also a quiet novel. Sounds like something that would be fun to check out from the library and just kind of sit down with on a quiet evening whenever that happens for me. Probably never, but maybe one day I can read it bit by bit. Next up is The Summer Guest by Justin Cronin. Now this one sounds pretty interesting. Basically what happens is there is an old financier, Harry Wainwright. So he's nearing the end of his life and he decides he wants to go to this remote area of Maine where there is an idyllic fishing cottage. And when he travels to this cottage, what he brings with them is an astonishing bequest. I don't know what this is. This is probably something that you discover in the novel, but then there are 4 characters in this novel who are affected by this old financier who comes to the cottage. They all live in this remote area of Maine, and it's the story of how their lives are tied together, and I believe it also deals with memories related to the Vietnam War as well as battle in Italy. I'm assuming this is World War II, although I'm not sure. Anyways, sounds intricate, and it sounds like a novel that's right up my alley because I love novels where you are really just trying to figure out, why do people do the things they do? This is probably what I love most about reading, trying to figure out, okay, so if you were in this sticky situation as a human being, when there's no easy answer, what would you do? What did this character do? Can you as a reader understand why? That's what I love most about reading. Next up is The Narrow Road to the Deep North by Richard Flanagan. Now this one was presented to me, I believe by AI, as a book for anyone who loves Birdsong. It has similar themes in terms of it's a sweeping epic. It also is a novel about, quote, the cruelty of war. Again, as someone who loves to explore, why do people do the things they do, especially when they're in very sticky, very gray areas, as you would be in war. This is probably what attracts me personally to novels about war. And I believe this particular novel, at the heart of the novel, it is a story about about one day in the main character's life at a Japanese slave labor camp during World War II. That's all I know about it. It is on hold currently for me in my Libby app, and I will let you guys know once I get it and once I listen to it. I think I've got about 10 weeks wait. Must be a good sign because this isn't a recently published novel, and for there to be that much of a wait, there must be other people who also think this is a good book. Somehow they've heard about it too. So subscribe and I will let you know if it's worth reading. And again, just to reiterate on this channel, I always try to review books in a way where I'm telling you what type of novel it is. I don't think it matters so much if I liked it. What matters is what kind of book is it, and is that a kind of book that you would like? Next up is The Tea Girl of Hummingbird Lane by Lisa C. I've actually never read Lisa C. I've had several people on this channel comment that they love Lisa C. and that they've read many of her books and enjoyed many of them. This one sounds pretty sad. As I was reading the description, I was thinking to myself that I would probably cry a lot reading this novel. At its core, this novel is a novel about a mother-daughter relationship. And as someone who has a daughter, when I was reading it, I just kept thinking about my own daughter. And I was thinking, oh, this is gonna be so sad to read. But I'm intrigued by everyone who comments on this channel, so I think I eventually will get to this book. And let me know in the comments below, what do you think of this book if you've read it? Next up is The Makioka Sisters by Junichiro Tanizaki. So as Crossing to Safety is considered one of the greatest American novels of the 20th century, The Makioka Sisters is considered one of the greatest Japanese novels of the 20th century. This novel follows the lives of 4 sisters in Osaka in the years leading up to World War II. And I believe it's about how these 4 sisters are grappling with a fastly changing world, a quickly changing world, I guess I should say. Is fastly a word? I don't think so. And how they are sort of holding on to the old way of life. Anyways, this one sounds super interesting to me. Another Japanese novel that I'd really like to get to this year. And last up, this book I'm just throwing on there because it keeps coming up in my different, various searches with AI as a book that I might like when I'm putting in books that I like, books that I love. It keeps coming up, even though it has nothing to do with historical fiction. And it's actually a fantasy book, which I don't typically like. But that is The Name of the Wind by Patrick Rothfuss. Let me know in the comments below. Have you ever read this book? Do you think I would like this book if you are familiar with my channel at all? And also let me know, do any of these books on this list sound like books that you'd like to get to? I'd love to hear what you think, and I'd also love to hear if you have any good recommendations for historical fiction. And as always, happy reading.